So this morning we're talking with the University of Michigan Medicine, Orthotics and Prosthetics Center. And we're talking with Jeff Wensman, who's a CPO. He's the clinical and technical director of this program at the University of Michigan. And he has been in the O&P field since 1992. He has 37 staff members working with him now, both practitioners and technicians. And the center sees about 35,000 patients every year, 35,000 patient visits. So I suppose some of those people are repeat visits, but 35,000 visits a year, which is a lot of work. In addition to the clinical work, Jeff also provides support and assistance with a variety of research projects. And then when we go to the lab, we'll be joined by Scott Taylor, who is the lead technician for this O&P center. And Scott is also a CPO. He started working in O&P in 2005, first as a technician at the university, and then he achieved his certification in orthotics in 2008. And he also worked at Danmar for a while in the cranial helmet production as the cranial helmet production manager. So we've got people with lots of experience here today helping us. So Scott, you want to take over and tell us, do your show and tell for us?
Sure. So once again, I'm Jeff Wensman, and it's nice to see some of you. That's okay. It's nice to see some of you. If you have cameras from the other schools, it'd be great to see you all, but that's okay. I understand. I'm going to start with a brief presentation just so we can go through some of the questions that Ruthie had posed to me earlier. Oh, look, we get to see everybody. Nice. Thank you. So I'm going to share my presentation here. All right.
So there it is. Perfect.
Yeah, looks like you can see everything.
Yes.
And so the first thing, let's see, is who we are. So we are a very large health system with multiple offices across the state. It's in a beautiful area of Michigan called Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we have really a reach that extends outside of Michigan. So a lot of people that have either learned about the health system or come through the health system in their life have come back year after year. So we have people who travel to us from as far away as Alaska, and many people from Florida. When they retire, they still come up for a lot of their health care. So we take care of a lot of people. This is a bit of an old picture. There's some new people who've joined us since this picture was taken. This is part of our anniversary back in 2011. But it shows the nice front of the building and gives you an idea of the large staff that we have. As I said, we have 4 major locations. So those are the red circles here. Our main office is here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And we're a little bit south of the hospital itself, which is up here. And then we have an office about 30 miles northeast of us in Northville. And we have an office about 30 to 40 miles directly north of us in Brighton. And then another facility that's not really ours, but we take care of because we have 24 beds for University of Michigan rehab patients over in Chelsea, Michigan. So we go there a few times a week as well. Our staff consists of 31 clinicians, which is 12 CPOs, a CP, 3 COs, 3 orthotic prosthetic assistants, 5 CPEDs, and 3 fitters. That's all the clinical staff. We have 4 technicians. We're looking to hire 3 more. So we'd love to have you all apply. We have 4 residents every year. And this year we have 4 residents plus a fellow, which is someone who had so much fun during their residency. They got involved in research and they wanted to stay. And so we will have 5 this year. And then we have 38 additional support staff. So you could see that there's even more bodies than were in that original picture. Our work environment, we have a fantastic work environment. We have great colleagues. a terrific workflow system, which we'll explain when we do our walkthrough, excuse me. We cross-train all of our staff because we recognize that no matter what your experience, no matter what your schooling, you probably won't have seen the diversity of what we see for O&P. And so this is an opportunity, even if you're skilled in one area, to learn more in other areas. I just talked about the diversity of work that we have. So we treat patients from cradle to grave and all of orthotics and all of prosthetics. So a very large diversity of patients. We're a full service facility. So we have all of the necessary tools and equipment to do anything that you can dream of. We have a large CNC carver to make models if we're not going to make them from plaster. We have many digital environments, including some 3D printing, which is probably going to be growing with some research projects we have coming. We work in a collaborative patient care model, which means that our physicians are often in the same building with us. While we will see prescriptions from physicians outside of the institution, we're often working alongside the physicians, and that's just a great model to work in. The whole institution has a high reliability, is a high reliability organization, which means everyone is trained in the practices of high reliability, which is there not only for your safety, but patient safety. So really high priority there. Professional development is part of everyone's package. So everyone will have dollars set aside for continuing education. And we also will often bring in education to you that won't cost you anything. We're 30 minutes from the Detroit airport, and Ann Arbor has an incredibly high quality of life. People are always interested in what the rewards are for working here. And so what we call benefits here is total rewards, which means what you're getting paid is not just your salary, but everything that's included. So in addition to salary, the biggest thing that people like here is that for every dollar you put into your retirement, the university puts in 2. Specifically, you have to put in 5%, and the university will match with the 10. There are multiple medical plans. Basically, if you are going to live near the university and get all of your care through the university, your care is nearly free. I won't say free because there is a insurance premium, a low insurance premium, and some co-pays, but really amazing plan. And then there are other additional plans that allow you, if you live outside or you have care that you like that's different than that university plan, that you can still get that care in different ways. There's 3 dental plans, 3 levels of a dental plan. So if you just want the basic, it's again nearly free. It's very low dollar. And then you can pay more if you have kids in braces or whatever else that might require you to have a little better dental plan. You have those options. Same with eye care. Also, everyone has the ability to get very inexpensive life insurance as well as long-term disability insurance. And then another benefit that a lot of people don't think about is that just being part of the University of Michigan and having what's called an M card, which is this lovely badge that you wear all the time, gets you discounts, including free bus rides anywhere in the city, discounts for lots of other activities, rental car discounts, car lease discounts, all kinds of discounts just by having that card. And then Ruthie asked specifically if we offer relocation expenses. Those are negotiated at the time of an offer, so I can't specifically say what those will be, but we listen to people and we try to work that into any sort of sign-on package that we would put
Can
up.
we go back to the competitive salaries and have you give us a range of what that is for a technician?
Yeah, let me do that at the end. I've put that on a slide, but
all right, because we'd like to have some more specific information about that.
Sure, yeah.
Especially since you're hiring.
I will end with that for sure.
Okay.
So then more about the city of Ann Arbor. I put a link here. I probably won't take the time now to go through it. But basically, Ann Arbor is a university town. It has a very high quality of life. You can see, world-class shows that are being put on here in some of the auditoriums, as well as world-class sporting events on a regular basis. So you don't have to go far to have entertainment come to you. The cost of living in Ann Arbor is slightly higher than the national average. So for some that poses a bit of a problem. But the neighboring towns are either slightly below or at the national average. So what a lot of people do is live just outside of town, and then they come into town and still get all of the benefits of having that university of town. The university, or the city, I should say, has over 400 restaurants. It hosts the largest art fair in the United States. There's a huge summer music festival, which goes on for 3 or 4 weeks. And lastly, 90% of all residents live within 10 minutes of a park. So the city really stresses quality of life. And everywhere you look, there's something going on, and it's very accessible by bicycle and lots of green space. For those of you who don't know, Michigan Stadium, or quote unquote, the Big House, is the largest stadium in the United States. All right, and then I just thought I'd show you just the skill of our technicians with a few samples. You'll see some work in process in the back, but basically upper extremity, lower extremity, orthotics and prosthetics. Our team has just been tremendous for years and years. You can see some of the unique things that that we do. All levels of amputation, all technologies, from the most basic to the most technical. And again, just a high level of skill, orthotics and prosthetics. Serving a Trauma One hospital, we see a great deal of TLSO work and really rapid turnaround on our orthotics. And then we also get involved in research, as I said, and you guys, anybody joining us, would also be called upon to make some quite unique things to be used in research. So we ask you to really use your brain. All right, so what I'll do, actually before the tour, let me jump ahead a couple of slides. Here's those salary ranges. So if you're entering as a non-certified technician, what you'll want to do on your resume is bolster it with any experience you had, if you've actually worked in the field, or anything like that, because that range you can see is quite broad, but the non-certified technician is below all the certified technicians. And our goal for anyone joining us is to have them become certified. So even if you're not certified when you join us, our goal is to get you certified so you can get to those higher ranges, and so that we can maintain our ABC facility accreditation.
And I may have missed this, but do you help pay with the certification fees?
We will pay for certification fees one time. So
Okay.
We ask you to study hard the first time.
Okay.
Good question.
And then what is the third? I see there's a non-certified, then there's a certified orthotic. What's the third one? It's covered up by the bands here. If you could, I don't know if I can slide.
I see. It's certified orthotic and prosthetic.
And prosthetic.
So for each certification, you gain,
Okay.
you gain a bump.
And we can see the bottom is, comes out at 61,000 basically.
Yeah.
So are there annual raises for employees?
Yes, really good question. There are merit raises each and every year. And then as a public institution, when I say competitive salaries, they get reevaluated periodically. So, what'll happen is someone will start saying, oh, hey, I've heard someone else is making more money, or whatever the case may be. And then we ask the university to reevaluate. and they will do a national search and then often adjust to meet that national search. It is a large institution, so it's not something, just to be fully transparent, it's not something that you can come to me and say, hey, I think I just deserve more money, so you should pay me more money. It's a little different than a private company where that's between you and the boss. Here it's between you, me, and HR. And so
One of the things, Jeff, with the non-certified, when they first start with you, the 33,660,
Yep.
that comes out to only $16.18 an hour, which is not average in the country right now.
Right. Yep, you're absolutely right. I will say that as they do new hires, they're always looking at that. And so the last person we just hired came in at 18. So
We're seeing salary ranges from 20 up to $45 an hour right now.
yeah, there's a lot of variation out there. And
There
it
is,
depends
but
a lot on what people's qualifications are.
I think it does, but I'm just saying, I think you need to get in the range more closer to 20 to attract good people, because that salary, that's the minimum we're seeing in a lot of places. And that's what's attracting new students to
Right.
go where they get a little couple of dollars more an hour makes a difference in their
Sure.
overall picture.
Yep, like I said, we will continue to evaluate that. HR does that all the time. Typically, they go to national organizations like AOPA and others to get this data. So when you're hearing what some individual person's making, that's a little tough for a university to take into account. So all I can share with you today is that these are the current ranges, but like I said, each individual is looked at as they come in, and then they go from there with additional pay per merit each year.
Okay, thank you. And I appreciate you answering the questions.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right. We're going to go take a tour here.
Perfect.
So I'll try not to be too bouncy. You can see where we're going here.
Jeff, we can't hear you if you're talking, and the picture is limited to this small box.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. The picture, though, is limited to the very small box on the side of the screen.
Is this
rather
way
than
better
full.
for the picture?
No, it's still very small.
Let's see. How do we do the picture differently?
Ruthie, I think that has to do with your view settings more than anything. 'Cause
Oh,
I
is
have
it?
a full-size
Okay.
picture, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Is it on your end or my end?
I think it's my problem is what Ambrose is telling me.
Okay. Are we all right?
I've got a clear picture here.
Okay. And you can hear me?
Yes, sir.
Great. All right. So here we are walking outside to the front of the building where all our patients will come in. I should have stopped my slides so I can see you all. In fact, I might walk back to my office and do that in a minute here.
Ruthie, can you kick that other Jeff entity off the call?
I don't know. I don't know how. If I hit replace pin, does that take it away?
No, if you go to the little menu at the bottom
Yeah.
with participants, you might be able to remove the other account.
I think he's got to stop sharing his screen.
Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah,
go to my office.
When I go there, it won't let me do it. I see where I'm on the participants, but it won't let me do it.
Yeah, I'll go in and do it. So this is our reception area. And I'm going to give you a really boring tour back toward the administrative area. As I think I mentioned, we're about a 30,000 square foot facility, so you will notice there is a considerable amount of walking as I'm giving this tour. And I will just quickly stop sharing. Okay, and this is all of the clinical space as far as the eye can see for all of our clinical team. Now we're back in the clinical area. And I'm just going to turn around, not to make you dizzy, but to help you understand that we have multiple clinical hallways. This is our first hallway. We're back in the waiting area. We have an area we call personal touch, where we do compression stockings, post-mastectomy, and off-the-shelf devices. And here is our second clinical hallway. And this hallway is a little unique in that it has various ways to digitize. So we have a Willowwood scanner in this room. We have an AmFit scanner in this room. We also have several portable scanners. So we're able to capture patients either in a conventional way with plaster fiberglass or digitally. Just stopping here briefly at a couple of pictures. We've been here for a very long time. Over 100 years. We celebrated our 100-year anniversary in 2011. And now we're entering our physician clinic. So we have physicians here 5 days out of the week. So we have a true MA station here. Our MAs must be out at lunch. And physicians' rooms, which are really set up as multi-purpose rooms. So on really busy days, we're down here taking patients as well. There's patient care going on here, so I won't go in these rooms, but we have 3 gate rooms right here in a row. There's one example.
And the
then we'll
physicians
just
are,
briefly stop here in the upper extremity room, give you an idea that we do the full spectrum of orthotics and prosthetics. And upper extremity prosthetics, as you probably know, are quite expensive and have lots of small things. So we do everything from myoelectrics down to straight up conventional prosthetics for upper extremities. So kind of anything you can think of, we do here. Here's the check socket, and here's a brand new hand going on a patient this week. All right, then we're going to continue on back to our fabrication area. All right, so this is the front side of the fabrication area where all the clinicians have their benches. And you can see all of the current work in process here. Every clinician has their own bench and all their own tools. as do all of our technicians. This is our plaster area, which these days is used less and less as we do more and more with our carver. We've been in the digital space for about 20 years, so none of, well, the new stuff you see out there is really that new to us. Been doing this for a very long time. And when you see this area here, this is what we call our pull system. So unlike a lot of places where you might have a manager telling you what to do each day, what we have is a system. We don't have a person. The system really runs by the practitioners putting all their work into the computer and then bringing the work order and the model back to these tables. And then the technicians pick up their jobs each day based on due dates. And we're always really focused on not delaying our patients. So each technician has a responsibility to pull the next thing in line and not skip ahead so that we don't miss any of those due dates. In the lab itself here, we have a large vacuum table with 8 stations, so we can pull multiple jobs at the same time. Also have some separate vacuum tables for foot orthoses and check sockets, things like that. Multiple ovens to provide the heated plastic for these operations. And again, our benches for each and every technician with all the necessary tools to complete the work. This is Scott, as you were introduced earlier, as our fabrication manager. And this is our central workspace where we have morning huddles every day and special projects get pulled out so they don't get missed. And over here we have running our 3D carver, our CNC mill. Hopefully you can see that well enough through the dirty doors here. I mentioned earlier that we work on that pull system. I'm just going to show you here up on the wall. We have an ever updating list of the work coming in. And when that work is completed, it drops off the list. So it's all automated. There's no one needs to be policing that or working too hard to get that work done. This is our lamination room. Very well ventilated and lots of vertical jigs to get those transfers done. Get those patients from check socket all the way through to definitive in an easy fashion. This is John. We'll come back and talk to John in a little bit. And this is our machine room. Pretty loud in the machine room, so I'm gonna not probably walk in here to talk, but every tool you could need as a shared resource is in this room. Routers, sandblasters, shoe machines, disc sanders, band saws, a vertical saw over there. And again, very well ventilated. We have a very large dust collector system outside that tries to keep ahead of all the dust. And here we have a welding area, as well as a mill, a hand mill, so we can cut pylons and various things like that. And then part of a large project we had a while ago, we have a very large, one of the first Stratasys 3D printers ever made is here on site. And we'll be looking to replace that with something
newer in the coming year or so if another grant comes through. All right, well, with that, I think what I'm going to do is pull Scott and John together here, and we'll open it up for questions. All right. See if I can get everybody in the picture. There we go. All right, now I've got the gallery. Who's got a question for us? Any questions?
I think you covered a lot of the stuff that normally people ask about when you did your presentation earlier, Jeff, but I don't know if anyone from Oklahoma City, anyone from Spokane Falls, anyone else have a question?
And also we have John and Scott here who work here and know what it's like every day. Sorry if I'm not too steady. I don't have a tripod here. But feel free to ask them questions.
How long does an average technician stay at your program? If you have someone starting out non-certified and then you want them to get certified, what's the length of stay there? Do they work there for a year or two or 10?
Well, in general, people have worked here their whole career. Right now, we've had a number of people like John, who's going to be going on to practitioner school. So he's been here 3 years so far. Scott took a bit of a hiatus to go do some leadership elsewhere, but has come back to us to do leadership here. So Scott, tell him a little bit about your career.
I was fortunate enough to kind of get in here on the old school way, where they needed some summer help right after high school, and just kind of took to it and worked here for 3 years, got certified, and then I think I was here for a total of 8. And like Jeff said, I went somewhere else and took on a leadership role at a smaller company doing similar stuff, and that fell through after about 6 years, and now I'm back here and doing this all over again. So I think altogether I've been at U of M 11 altogether. And yeah, it's a truly good place to work. It's a unique stuff that you see here. You can go all over the world and not see some of the stuff that we see here.
So Scott, are you a CPO?
I am not. I am just a certified tech.
Okay, because behind your name on the information that was sent, it said that you were a CPO, and I wondered about you being the lead technician.
I think I said CT.
Yeah, it's got a P in it, I think.
Yeah, CTPO, but anyway, that may have
Yeah,
been a
so,
typo. So he's a
right, no
technician,
problem,
certified
no
technician.
problem. So did you, Scott, did you do training at any school, or did you just learn on the job and then take your exams?
I just learned on the job and took my exams.
Okay,
Oh, well. All right. I guess I had a quick question. Since you guys work in tandem with the University of Michigan, do you guys provide higher education assistance for people who kind of, I guess, partner with y'all or hired through y'all's program?
We do provide tuition assistance if people are going on to fields that help the university, yes.
Okay, that's cool.
That's a really good question. I was going to ask the same thing. Hey, can I ask more of a technical question? What are you guys doing with that mill? I'm curious. You said you used it to cut pylons?
Oh, the not the CNC mill, but the right, yeah, we cut pylons. mill surfaces, all different things that we have done over the years. These days, with all the other tools we have, it doesn't get as much use, but it's a lot better than a hand pipe cutter. So,
Yeah, that makes sense. What are you guys welding back there?
broken stirrups, variety of things like that. Sometimes we have, like right now, we've got a guy who keeps breaking every metal chafe we have, so we may have to weld up a double chafe. I would say at this point, we don't do a lot of that because so many things in the industry have given you all the solutions you need. But back in the day, if it didn't exist, we made it. So
That's
we
really
still
cool.
have all the tools.
Any other questions from anybody? Well, John, we wish you success as you go on to get to be a CPO. Good for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I do want to say that University of Michigan, like Scotty was saying, it's a very, very unique place to work. Being that we see a lot of really interesting things, and my growth and my success is definitely attributed to me coming here. I took a big leap of faith moving from the Chicago area, Illinois. Moved here 3 years ago, and it's probably the best decision I would say I've made in my career. Like I said, my growth as a technician, I couldn't have done it without being in an environment like this. You have techs like Scotty, who's had, like you said, almost 12 years in the business. We've got also Jim here, who's more or less on his way out, but he's got 30 years of experience. So, you have a long takeoff strip, so to speak, if you do want to come here and really learn.
Thank you for telling us that. That's very helpful to know.
Welcome.
Any other comments or questions from anyone? Jeff, this has been a very, very helpful and very good wide-based learning experience for us all. I mean, other than the football team at the University of Michigan, this is the first really in-depth look at some of the healthcare we've seen. So this is great for us to know about.
I'm happy to share it. I probably could have gone a little more and shared with you some images of the hospital as well, because that's another exciting thing that we have here that a lot of places don't have. But anyway, I'm very happy to share it. And if you have any questions after, feel free to reach out to me.
We will, and we might do the hospital thing this fall when we start these again, when the fall quarter starts again.
Okay, very good. I'm just going to turn my camera around because Scotty's going to pull some plastic and see our fancy table moves around.
Yeah, we've got.
That's the big one.
Yeah, I think he's made one bigger, he said. This is 8 stations. I think he's made a 10. But anyway, if anyone wants to apply for the position, I believe, Ruthie, did I send along the link to you?
No, but I've got your email address. If anyone wants to apply, I'll send them your email address and people can move directly forward and talk with you about it.
Okay, that sounds terrific. And I will send along a link so you can share it with everybody.
Okay, I'd be glad to do that. We'd be glad to do that.